This is a custom 3D designed seashell with a Voronoi pattern. I'm going to show you how I made it, and if you stay to the end, I got a surprise for you. Welcome to iSeaLive. My name's Mark. I've been designing and building for years, and I recently decided to start recording and sharing some of my projects. Most of what I make is reef aquarium related, so that's why this channel is called iSeaLive. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the processes of creating this Voronoi style seashell. To kick things off, let's talk about the inspiration for this design. I've always been in love with the natural beauty of the ocean, and one of the things that fascinates me is the sacred geometry of seashells, also known as the Fibonacci sequence or the golden ratio. This design was inspired by two creatures that look like they're straight out of an Aliens movie.
Oh no, not again.
The first creature is a Nautilus. A Nautilus is a pelagic marine mollusk of the cephalopod family Nautilidae. These creatures are distant cousins of octopus, cuttlefish, and squid, but unlike these cousins, Nautilus have a simple brain and are assumed to lack intelligence. The second creature is very closely related to the Nautilus, and it's an ammonite. These things went extinct 65 million years ago, and the only thing we have left is their crazy shells in the fossil record. It's really hard to imagine that an army of ammonites used to roam the Earth's ocean. Unfortunately, I didn't record the creation of the sculpted body using T-splines in Fusion 360, so I'm just going to show you the finished product. It was not easy to create this thing, and I remember trying several different methods until one worked. Making the spiral curve smooth so it can closely mimic the golden ratio was one of the most important parts of this design, so I used a sketch to sweep a profile along a path to start the T-spline body. I then slowly modified the T-spline until I was happy with it. In the future, I'll be sure to record the drawing and creation of the project so y'all can see the entire process. With the sculpted faces finished, I imported it into Mesh Mixer so I could reduce the mesh and apply a pattern which will give it that Voronoi look. I started by selecting everything and reducing the mesh several times and then creating a duplicate body. I then further reduced the mesh of one of the duplicate bodies so I could apply a pattern to each and get a different texture and feel for the final result. To get the Voronoi effect, you have to go over to Edit and select Make Pattern. Under the patterns, you need to select Dual Edge. I gave the first mesh body a thickness of 4 millimeters and then the second body a thickness of 2 millimeters. Once the two patterns are complete, I'm going to go ahead and select the bodies and combine them. The last thing I'm going to do in Mesh Mixer is a plane cut at a good spot right down the middle so I can cut this thing into two parts. Once I got a spot I like and the files are ready, I then go ahead and export the OBJs into Cura. With Cura open, I arranged the build plate and made sure the models were laying flat. For the printer settings, I'm using a 0.2 millimeter layer height with a 0.8 millimeter nozzle on a Creality CR10S. I'm printing with ABS at a temperature of 240 Celsius and a build plate of 100 Celsius. I'm printing without supports because they're a nightmare to get off of something that's this complex. So if it can work without it, that's awesome. For the first attempt, I used a raft and that failed, so for this one I'm going to go ahead and use an 8mm brim. The following prints were all successful, and I decided to actually make two of these shells, one on the Creality and one on the G-Tech. Cue the time lapse. The prints actually turned out much better than I thought they would. Some had stringing and blobbing issues, but overall I'm happy. There's some minor surface issues, but these don't really matter because I'm going to actually refinish the models, and eventually these will be in a coral reef system with coral growing on top. For the last part of this video, I'm going to go ahead and clean it all up and glue the halves together using an ABS and acetone slurry. With everything clamped together, I left it to set overnight. And here's the final result. That wraps up the first ever iSeaLive video. I'll be making a follow-up of this video in which I finish the shell and get it into aquarium so coral can grow on it. If you enjoyed this video and found it interesting, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can get notified when the next iSeaLive video gets released. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. And thank you for staying to the very end because I have a special surprise for you. I made this design available for free download on Thingiverse. Click the link in the corner or at the bottom of the description if you'd like to get your hands on this shell. Thank you for watching, and I will see you live in the next video.